welcome back to the program. You're watching Morning Thailand with Bo and Golf. And like I mentioned, there has been a report from down south. Unfortunately, have to report a little bit about the southern violence first and then the flood that still ravaged the area in the south. Now, at this point, they say that there has been a report from Yala province that one person was shot dead, a woman. Unfortunately, the sad part about this news is the fact that there's a little girl, a 5-year-old girl, at the scene as well. And she was actually got a little bit injured. The bullet did not get to her, but it was just kind of
grazed her a bit?
Yeah, just grazed to her forehead, according to the report at least. And they say that luckily she was sent to the hospital on time, and there's nothing serious, but still her aunt, who were actually at the scene and was the owner of the shop, was actually shot dead at the scene. Now, according to the report, they say that this took place in Yala province. They say that the situation was quite scary because they say that the culprit actually got on the motorcycle, 2 of them altogether. One actually waited outside this particular store. It's a convenience store. So they say that once the culprit got to the scene, one of them actually got out of the motorcycle and then walked to this particular woman and said that he would like a cigarette. And of course, Kun Sara Same Pine, age 40, she went into the store to grab a cigarette for this particular person who she thought was a customer. They say that according to the witness, after she turned her back to the culprit started to fire the gun. Fortunately, the first shot missed her, but unfortunately, it actually grazes her knees, forehead, like I said, who were actually at the scene at the time. And of course, the niece was sent to the Krong Penang hospital, but they say that the witness said she ducked after she have seen that someone was trying to fire to shot her, etc. And such. And they say that the culprit very cruelly walked up to her and fired another round. And of course, that's caused her to pass away instantly at the scene in the Krong Penang. Now, having said that, at this point, they say that they're not sure whether or not this is a personal conflict or southern violence that instigate by the southern insurgency. We probably are going to have to see about that. Now, moving on very quickly to report about the weather forecast down south. At this point, it doesn't look good for the southern provinces at all. It seems like floods have ravages every provinces. Starting with Patalung province, they say that the water from Bantat mountain range that actually came down from the Srinakarin district as well as Gongra district also have already created quite a bit of a problem in the area as it cut off a lot of roads, as well as especially in the Kok Changai sub-district. All the people in the area, all the residents were warned to remove their belongings up to the 2nd floor or evacuate altogether. Now they say that there's also a report that the water from the Bantat mountain range actually flow into the Songkhla Lake at all. That's causing the Kwan Khanun, Mueang Pathalung, Bang Keo, as well as Khao Chai Son sub-district along with Pak Phayun sub-district to have seen quite a bit of water level rising up, especially those people that live along the Songkhla Lake. And they say that at this point, the mudslide has also been warned for the people in the area that live very close to the Bantat mountain range. All the small boats have been warned not to leave the shore at this point for those provinces from Nakhon Si Thammarat all the way down. They say that not to leave the shore. And they say that in Songkhla province itself, several floods have been seen as well. The authorities are trying to use all the water pumps to pump the water into Songkhla Lake. And of course, like I said, Songkhla Lake has already seen quite a bit of water increasing due to the fact that the heavy rain has been hit these down south. So this creates quite a bit of a problem as well. Narathiwat province, 5 consecutive days already for yesterday that the rain has been hit the south of the Narathiwat province. They say that 13 districts are suffering from these particular problems of heavy rain. Now in Yala province, there also a talk of water from Saiburi River that coming in from Sukhirin and as well as Sisakhon district of Narathiwat province has already flushed into the area, causing Raman district to actually see quite a bit of a flood. A lot of people were actually talking about having to evacuate from the area. So overall, southern situation is not doing well, both the violence itself as well as the weather. So be warned.
Okay, well, moving away from the conditions, weather conditions, and also the south, let's now take a look at the latest report that has come out from the United States, but Reuters has reported about this, about the situation of human trafficking here in the country. Now, actually, it's good news because we have been moved down from the tier 2, which is quite severe, to be at tier 3 now, which is a whole lot better. It's an improvement in the ranking. But the report in particular did mention that the reason for a lot of human trafficking in the country is because of corrupted officials, or in particular some government officials, for the cases here in Thailand as well. So more details here have been out from the United States Ministry of Foreign Affairs mentioning about these reports of the TIP, or the Traffic in Persons report, which is supposed to be due to be announced next year. But some of the information has already been revealed and come out that Thailand is likely to see a slight improvement, like I said, in this rating, and it will be less targeted in the human trafficking cases. Like I said, we're going to be at tier 3 from the previous tier 2 countries. And tier 3 is the least prone country or category, in human trafficking cases. And just to support that fact, there has been proof so far that in 2011, 67 cases have been reported. And right now it's down to only 27.
Okay.
But for the ones that have been reported. And 27 is just last year. While out of that 27, 10 of them have been convicted guilty. And that 1 in 10, they found that there were the government officials that were involved in the human trafficking cases. Apart from that, they also mentioned, at least coming from the Thai side here, saying that so far this year, 9 cases have been reported and already successfully captured as well. 2 of that 9, they found that they were the government officials. And this is the human trafficking in the case of Rohingyas. So they found that 2 cases out of this 9 were the government officials, while the DSI chief himself, Thadit Pendit, came out to say that he will definitely try to prevent the problem of human trafficking from occurring. But like I've mentioned here, this is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the United States that mentioned about this particular problem. At first, if you read the headlines very briefly, it seems almost as if Thailand is doing worse in the human trafficking case. But yeah, just to mention that, I think it's because the officials could be the ones responsible in the high numbers of human trafficking, and that's why it has been mentioned there.
Right. So of course, with that, I think is at least one good thing coming out of it. But one of the things that we have heard way too much is the corruption that happened, and that was one of the things. And I'm pretty sure that His Majesty's speech has said quite well. You should know your own responsibilities and do your duties for greater goods. Obviously, corruption is not for the greater goods. It's just for you. So, maybe you should refrain from doing that. All right, moving on to once again, the demonstration that's supposed to once again resumed today. When I say resume back to normal, I'm not saying that the normal. It's just the normals of the past the past months. I would say that we have seen quite a bit of a conflict in the country. It would just been paused for 2 days. That's it. Now, at this point, they say that Kun Suthep Theersuban, of course, the leaders of the anti-government protesters at this point, yesterday there has been a celebration, just like any other Thai citizens got together at the government complex on Jagwantanat Road. They were having the candle lighting ceremony in order to celebrate His Majesty the King's 86th birthday. However, they say that at this point, Kun Suthep have said before December the 5th that there will be, well, they call it a D-Day. But once again, we have heard a lot about the D-Day. Kun Suthep have mentioned that a lot, and it seems to pass on, and then it just keep extending. So at this point, once again, the D-Day today, there will be a little bit of a movement. Unfortunately, he did not really mention yesterday. I think one of the reasons was that he tried to refrain from actually saying anything in terms of instigating conflicts within the country yesterday. But of course, started off early in the morning. Kun Suthep Thuksuban has already have done a little bit of the, I guess, the religious ceremony, giving alms to the monks, making merits, along with other anti-government protesters that got into the area. And this is, of course, in front of the, let me see here, there's a lot of people in the area. And this is in front of the buildings in the government complex on Jangwatanat Road. Of course, a lot of people will actually get a chance to listen to His Majesty the King's speech over there as well. So it's not like they're missing out. They say that at the Ratchadamnoon Avenue, Democracy Monument in particular, there are also what they call one of those lion parade and such, where you dress it's quite a traditional custom for Chinese to actually have the lion
kind of like the lion dance, right?
Yeah, exactly. So people just got into the lion costume and such, and then start to do all these lions dancing and such to celebrate His Majesty the King's birthday. Now they say that about 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Kun Sathit Wong Tey, one of the core leader, has said that there has been a report that the police are actually trying to get all the people or prevent the people from joining the event at the Jangwatanat Road. And they say that at this point, and he encouraged all the people to actually trying to work through this and then still get a chance to walk all the way there. Now they say that at this point, Kun Sathit Wong Tey yesterday said that instead of having the big projectors, 6 of them, they unfortunately could only have 2 of them installed due to the fact that some of the police trying to prevent them from doing so. However, nothing bad happened actually, so that is the good news. Now, moving on, they say that at this point, after 4 p.m., there's a talk about the ceremony at the government complex at about 6:30 p.m., having the candlelight ceremony and such. And a lot of people will actually join in this particular event, where donning yellow, because that was the color of His Majesty the King's birthday. Now, having said that, like I have mentioned, there has been a talk already that today is going to be a D-Day. Kun Suthep said that they want to make sure that everything will be done by today. However, we're not sure yet what that would be. Unfortunately, I cannot report to you what would be the next move. But what I can say is that there has been a report already that last night at the Finance Ministry, there has been a gunfires took place at the Finance Ministry, where the anti-government protesters actually staying at this point. And they say that the gunshot wounded one of the guards in the area, and they say that it was actually the culprit was on a motorcycles, and they came in and started firing the shots inside the compound itself. So at this point, they believe it was from the supporters of the government, the red shirts as well. So more reports will probably be coming out from this, because it took place at like 10 minutes after midnight. It was only on the online newspapers, but it's not on the front pages of this morning newspapers yet. So we probably will have to listen to that more. Hopefully nothing bad's gonna happen, because obviously if it's paused for 2 days and started already early in the morning, so after midnight, that is kind of sad. I don't know whether or not it's going to get even more escalated, but I would, advise everyone who might have to pass around the area be very, very careful.
Yes, that's true. And despite the fact that there are guards or even some of the police that are in the area, but it's better safe than sorry for ourselves to be very careful on our own as well.
Very true.
And mentioning about the conflicts that are going on, this time let's take a look at the red shirt supporters, how they have also come out with some of their announcements for the next gathering that we could be seeing in Ayutthaya province, and this is for December the 10th. In particular, they say that this move is to show and also protect democracy in the country. Now, to mention in details here, this mass rally of the red shirt supporters will be taking place, like I said, to show the opposition to the anti-government demonstrators and their leadership of Suthep Suban. This is coming from, as you can see right there, the co-leader of the United Front for Democracy Against Dictatorship, or UDD, Wing Tojirakan, who mentioned about this yesterday. He said that the demonstration of support for the government will be held outside of Bangkok, and this is so that they can prevent any recurrences of the violent confrontation. Just, for example, like the one near Ramkhamhaeng University that occurred last weekend. Mr. Wang said that he expected more than 10,000 red shirts to show up at the rally site. And he was asked about the announcement that was given by Mr. Suthep that the Yingluck Chinawat government will be cast out on Friday, December the 6th, and he said that the UDD would wait and see what happens on that. Mr. Wang reiterated that the red shirt supporters, they will be doing their utmost to protect the Pheu Thai-led government. And by the way, Tuesday, December the 10th, it's also another important day. It's actually Constitution Day, and that commemorates the promulgation, that's right, of the first constitution, which is under the constitutional monarchy.
So that's why they picked December the 10th.
I don't think it was a coincidence that they chose that day.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take a very, very short break. Of course, we have a lot more updates on political arena, especially in terms of the changes in Articles 7 for the appointed PM, as well as the proposal for Articles 291 instead of the Article 7. So stay tuned.